Hi everyone and welcome on to the African Trail. My name is Heidi and I'll be your driver and guide for the next 25 to 30 minutes. And just before we get started, a few safety rules. Please remain seated whenever the tram is in movement. You're more than welcome to stand up whenever it stops. Make sure to keep all arms, legs, and children inside the tram. Do not lean, sit, or lay on the doors as they are latched and not locked, so they can easily open up and we don't want to lose you on the way. In case you do drop any items, raise your hands and wave it goodbye, as we won't be able to stop to pick up those items. If you like your items back, just let me know, or any of my co-workers know at the end of the tour.
Oh my god, yeah.
In case of any medical emergencies, there are yellow strips located above your heads on the left and on the right. In case of that medical emergency, press and hold those strips, and I'll notify you here from the cab. Those right behind me, either wave your arms or tap on the glass to get my attention. On the left side, we have a little sneak peek of East Africa. We will be returning here to East Africa towards the end of the tour. And as we make our way around the African savanna habitat, we'll be taking a look at different animal behaviors and physical adaptations they have to help them thrive in their environment.
They're like hanging out with each other, like not even separated.
On the right side, we have a flamboyant. This lovely flamboyance of greater flamingos live in the salty marsh, where it tends to get really hot, so having those light pink, almost white feathers are going to help reflect the heat off of their bodies, helping them to stay much cooler in their hot environment. Flamingos also have very interesting beaks. Their beaks act a lot like colanders or strainers, so when they take a scoop of water, they'll filter that water and get left behind with the delicious plankton and shrimp that they love to eat. And hopefully you were able to count every single flamingo down there. Let's see if you got close. There is 230 of them.
230? Wow, this is noisy. Wow.
San Diego Zoo Safari Park is part of our two front doors. Our other door being the San Diego Zoo. And we are both part of the San Diego Zoo Wildlife Alliance. We have many conservation projects all over the world. One of our conservation projects here in the park is the Ankali Cattle Rhino Rescue Center, which will be coming up onto our right. You're going to see if there are some rhinos out there. There is a little crash of rhinos, and you're going to be looking for any boulders with wiggling ears. The rhinos that do live here at the Nikita Khan Rhino Rescue Center have a very important job. The females will one day become separate mothers through in vitro to their closest relatives, the northern white rhino, which sadly there are only 2 northern white rhinos left in the whole entire world. But with the research we're doing here, we hope to be able to help those rhinos come back from the brink of extinction. Sadly, the numbers of rhinos are dropping in the wild due to their horns. Many cultures do believe rhino horns can be used for medicine. However, rhino horns are made out of the same material as your hair and your nails, called the keratin. Conservation project we do here in the park is recycling water. All the water used in the park is collected, treated, and reused. That recycled water then gets used to water all of our plants throughout the park. Because besides the zoo, we are also a botanical garden, and we got quite the collection of plants here in the park. Here in this little pond on our left, we also get a lot of local wildlife that likes to hang out here. You'll see a little sprinkling of ducks, maybe some snowy egrets. By the island, there are some cormorants, and even once in a while, we'll get migrating birds that end up using the safari park like a little rest stop. As we round the corner, we get a sneak peek of the savanna habitat we are going to enter. And hopefully we'll get to see lots and lots of wildlife. Besides the savanna habitat, we'll also be passing by the African forest and part of our local habitat as well.
Right behind that tree.
Right over there.
On the right side, you can see some submarine gazelles enjoying their little meal. These are very pretty two-tone colored gazelles with a caramelly color on top, perfect for camouflaging, while their white bellies are going to help reflect the heat, helping them to stay cooler in their environment. Besides the plants put out there by the wildlife care specialists, they'll also use their hooves to dig up any roots of other plants to enjoy. Most of the animals we'll be now seeing are going to be on our left side. We're going to be seeing quite the number of antelope species. And these antelopes are going to come in all different shapes, sizes, and colors. First, the ones that we're going to see are these little ones right under the shade of the tree. They look just like the submarine gazelles, aside from a little black racing stripe in the middle of their bodies. They might look like little gazelles, but they're actually antelope, one of the smaller species here in the field. These are the springboks. And even though they are small, they're mighty good jumpers, and they can jump about 6 feet straight up in the air in a single jump. They're also pretty fast. They can reach about 55 miles per hour when they run.
Wow, that's fast.
And when they are running around and jumping, it's called pronking, and it's very fun to see. If you're ever here during a rainy or sprinkly day, that's the most time you'll end up seeing pronking. Not too far towards the right of the springboks, those dark chocolatey brown ones are sable antelopes. They're resting, they're ruminating, digesting their food, and they're sitting in an alert circle. So if you look carefully, you can see how each individual is facing a different direction, keeping an eye out for any potential predators, and at the same time watching each other's backs, making it a little bit more difficult for predators to try and sneak up on them. The sables are also a perfect example of a two-thirds species of antelopes where both the females and the males have horns. And whenever we see that, it means that these antelopes live in a harsher environment, where both the females and the males have to compete with each other for resources. So when you see only the males having horns, we live in an environment where there's plenty more food, kind of like the Ellipsan waterbucks, the other dark chocolatey brown ones, under the shade of the pepper trees. You'll see none of them out there have horns, those are all females. And of course, another horned animal right next to them, much more taller in size, horns known as ovicones. We got a tower of Maasai giraffes. I'm going to pull up just a little bit more forward. If you look carefully, the male is very easy to tell from the rest of the herd. He is the tall, dark, and handsome member of the group.
How come there's always one that hang up ourselves?
Of course, giraffes are the tallest land mammals on Earth, and they can average anywhere from 14 to 18 feet. But besides having that very tall stature of theirs, they also have a very long and prehensile tongue that helps them to be able to reach up towards the leaves of very tall trees. If you guys are curious to know how long a giraffe's tongue is, to find out, all you have to do is measure from the very tip of your fingers all the way down to your elbow, and that's about the length of a giraffe's tongue, which is about 18 to 20 inches in length. Kids, your arms are more about the size of a baby giraffe's tongue. And with such a long tongue, they do sometimes use it to even pick their noses. don't have any spots, but they are covered in stripes on their legs. Right up on the hillside on your right side, you'll see some very pretty grayish lavender donkeys. And those are the Somali wild ass. They do have a very silly name, but if you look at their legs, it kind of looks like they're all wearing little zebra striped socks. Those little patterns on their legs are called a follow me mark. A few herds out here do have follow me marks. Some of them are a little more noticeable than others, but herds will use those follow me marks to follow each other whenever they are migrating or grazing, and it's an easy way for them not to lose each other. Kind of like when you wear matching t-shirts. When you wear those matching shirts, it just makes it easier for you to find your group or follow your group through large crowds of people, and in a way, that's how follow me marks work. Across the way, another grayish lavender animal. These are another herd of antelopes. These are the hensbuck. From a distance, it's kind of hard to see where their eyes are located because of those little stripes on their faces. The little stripes are called a threat mask. So it kind of looks like they're wearing a little luchador mask on their faces. But if you look at their ears, you might spot a little black spot. Those little black spots are going to act like false eyes. So whenever they spread out their ears, those little false eyes are going to make their faces and themselves seem way bigger than they really are. Also, if you look down to the pepper tree on your right side, the Somali wild ass has a roommate called Dude. He's a one-hump camel. Looks like he's taking a little nap under the pepper tree.
Pepper tree? This pepper tree? Yeah.
And we're going to continue our way up the big hill. We won't be able to stop until we reach the bridge. So keep looking towards your left, and hopefully we'll see some animals on our way up. You might see Aria and Kendi. They are in the bomas today. The bomas are these structures on your left. Aria and Kendi are East Black Rhinos. So they're going to be much more smaller, more darker in colors than the southern ones. They also have an upper lip that is prehensile, so just like the tongues of a giraffe or a tail of a monkey. And they're going to use that upper lip like a little finger, and they can even pick up a single blade of grass with their upper lip. We are going to continue up to the forest, and up there in the forest, you're going to see a lot of antelopes. They're going to be a little bit more orangey in color, instead of the brown or gray colors that are more common out in the sun. We might even see a dazzle out here. And a dazzle is what you call a group of zebras. So it looks like the zebra here is out by himself, but he does have a dazzle. This is one of the 5 Giraffes zebras. I'm going to slow it down just a little bit. Giraffes, of course, are one of the larger species of zebras. They also have the roundest ears out of all the zebra species.
Beautiful.
The little round ears can be seen when they do perk up to their ears, and it kind of looks like they're wearing little Mickey Mouse ear headbands. These are really young male zebras, so they do tend to work roughhouse a lot. See the other two down there.
Get that video.
Yeah.
The stripes on the zebra are excellent for camouflaging. They won't camouflage like other animals with their environment, but instead they'll camouflage with each other. So when you have a large dazzle of zebras and they're all running away from a predator, all that movement of all those stripes can get a little confusing, making it hard for predators to know when zebra starts and when the other zebra ends. Also up here by the feeding paths, those are roan antelopes. And the road here on the left is the bachelor herd. We will be seeing another roan antelope herd on the right side, and those are the females. Up here on the left side, you'll see some very nice views. We are at the highest point on the Tram see some stripy ones, and those are the studded tassels. The antelopes out here in the forest are really good at camouflage. However, we were able to see the camouflage working because we see the color. We can easily distinguish green and orange. But if you were a predator that only saw it in grayscale, it'd be a little bit more difficult to see these antelopes whenever they hide amongst the grass or the trees.
It's funny plants. This makes the and the rest of it. They should take it.
We're going to start making our way down towards the savannah habitat. Right down there amongst the very large trees, there's a shade. You might see some other large antelopes. Those are the greater cougars. Also, if you look around us on all these hillsides, this is part of the California coastal sea scrub, part of our local habitat.
I do take pictures just like a zebra.
Before that, let's see, I'm going to take a little pause here because we have
I think
two of these other zebras. Right down these little by the rock.
Here. Two small
Guys didn't
zebra out
get to
there.
see them.
Oh, I see.
The stripy pattern on the zebras might look all alike from a quick glance, but each individual zebra actually has their own pattern of stripes. No two zebras are the same. They're as individual as our fingerprints.
Wow.
You might also see the zebras as we're passing by just past these big shrubberies. Of course, all these shrubberies and all these plants around us are part of our California coastal sea scrub, a very important habitat we need to protect, not only because it is our own backyard habitat, but it is part of one of the most endangered habitats here in North America. As here in the safari park, we've set aside 800 acres out of our 1,800 acres for local wildlife. There's all these hillsides around us on the left and the right. There's a big biodiversity of plants, insects, and animals. And a very easy way for you to help out your local habitat is by planting local native plants in your gardens. And as you do walk around the park, always keep an eye out amongst the bushes. You might see some of the local wildlife. It can be anywhere from a bunny, a quail, a roadrunner, or once in a while, if you're lucky, you might even see a deer walking around the park. Definitely see those giraffes once again on our left, but as well, a little closer to us, a herd of Cape buffaloes. And this is the female and baby herd of Cape.
Yeah.
The babies are getting really big now, so they're making it a little hard to let them out apart. But if you look carefully, you might be able to see themselves like little ones. Cape buffaloes, although they look very cuddly and cute from up here, don't let their cuteness fool you. They are one of the toughest creatures that live out in the savannah. They'll stick together and defend each other, even up against predators like lions. They'll form protective circles with the biggest and toughest Cape buffalo on the outside, protecting all the little babies and elder Cape buffalo inside the circle. They're very protective and united with each other. And also their horns are very different from most of the animals that we've been seeing, especially the antelopes. Their horns are shaped inwards. They're very large herd animals. So You don't want your horn sticking out on the sideways because then you'll poke an eye out from your neighbors. So it's better if they're poking inward. And then of course we've been seeing so many antelope species. One of the larger ones are these on the left. They kind of look like cows with the deer heads. These are the Patterson elands, and we do have 4 little babies out there. They are about 4 months old. They're already even starting to grow in their horns. And these antelopes are quite large. They might not look very big from here on the tram because we're actually about 5 feet above the ground. But these antelopes can weigh around 2,000 pounds. And if you would measure them from their shoulders down, they measure about 6 feet in height, just from their shoulders. They'll have these spirally horns, which the females will actually have much longer horns than the males do. And the females are going to use these horns to pull down low-hanging branches of trees to give themselves and their babies some extra food. Also, if you look carefully, you can see only one female is hanging out with all the babies. The moms will actually form these little daycare centers. And the moms will take it turns taking care of the little ones, giving the other moms a chance to relax, take a nap, or maybe get something to eat. Their horns are not as long as the animals you'll see on the right side, under the pepper tree. Those are the Ankali cattle. They are a semi-domestic cattle species from Africa. And they've got some ginormous horns on top of their heads. If you would measure those horns from tip to tip, they can average around 6 feet in length. If you're not sure how long that is, from door to door on each side of you, that's about 6 feet, which is about the same length as the benches you guys are all sitting on. Their horns are honeycombed on the inside, making it a little less heavy for them to wear those horns on top of their heads. People who do take care of the Ankali cattle out in Africa use the Ankali cattle as a status symbol, kind of like having a big fancy car. Start making our way back, making a huge loop back past the Teton Rhino Rossi Sunset. So now you'll see those rhinos on your left side.
How long ago? Yeah.
And just before we do make our way back towards the station, we still have the East Africa. We're going to see if we can spot any animals out there before we make our way back.
Yeah, I thought it would be like this is pretty good. Because they actually have places like that when there's a neighbor so you can get a shot. We get like chopped up by the rhino.
We're going to make our way over towards the little forest of palm trees over there. We've got some French deer oryx all sitting down, while another tower of giraffes are out there. Ooh, and it looks like the cheetah's out on your left.
On the left. Where's the cheetah?
Oh my God! Look.
Luckily the cheetah's out and visible now. You can also take a look at the cheetah from the walking path. You just have to make a left after you exit the tram, and it's right after the restaurant. the fastest land mammal on Earth, reaching about 70 miles per hour. They can reach their top speeds because of their small heads, barreled chests, and semi-retractable claws. And those little black stripes they have from their eyes to their nose, that kind of looks like it's running mascara. It's a mylar stripe, and that acts like little sunglasses, helping them not to get a glare from the sun. So here we see another tower of giraffes. These are reticulated giraffes. More about the common giraffes you tend to see in pictures. So they have the more iconic, lighter coloration, the bigger spots. There are 3 little ones out there. Nane, the one that is sitting down, she's the oldest one, and she's a little over a year old. And then we got 2 little ones over here. They're about a week different from each other, and they're about 6 months old. And these little 6 months olds already measure more than 8 feet in height. Pretty tall for a little baby, but not uncommon for a giraffe, as baby giraffes are born around 6 feet in height.
Oh, no.
Having to be pretty tall to be able to reach up and nurse from their moms. And of course we've got 2 rhinos slowly making their way up the hill. The littlest rhino out there is a 2.5-year-old. As they pass by, if you do notice their ears wiggle, how I mentioned that there are boulders with wiggling ears, it's because they don't really have the best eyesight, but they have really good hearing, and they can actually individually wiggle their ears. And those little ears act like satellite dishes, helping them to pinpoint to any sounds that they hear all around them. The rest of the crash of rhinos are actually hanging out next to the tree, so you might see them through gate 1. Kind of keeping towards the mud wallows. They do like to hang out in the mud wallows on a warm day because they do have very delicate skin and they can't sweat like we do. So that mud is not only going to help to cool off themselves, but it's also going to protect them against the sun and against insects. But hopefully everybody enjoyed themselves, got some good pictures, and maybe learned some facts or two. And with you entering through our front doors, you not only helped us out with many conservation projects all over the world, but you became an ally for wildlife, so thank you so very much.
Totally worth it. That was fun.
On the left side, you might see another antelope out there. Those are Lula and Nyala. And as we do make our way on towards the tram station, please do remember to remain seated until the tram comes to a complete stop. Everybody will be exiting toward your right side. To escape the tram, all you do is reach over and pull those little black handles towards the front of the tram. And again, my name is Heidi. Thank you so much, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day here at the San Diego Zoo Safari Park.